Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Monday, April 25th edition of the show. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we have got some things to talk about today around the business of football, along with a few other things, of course, as we always do. I do want to start out with this, though. Reminder to everybody that is listening, on Thursday evening, starting about 8 p.m. Central Time, we're going to have a live stream. It's us and the Westlot Pirate Boys, the Northwestern Big Ten blog, or podcast at this point. But you can find them over at westlotpirates.com. That is their website. We are going to be talking about everything that has to do with the first round of the NFL Draft on Thursday night. We're going to have some drinks. We're just going to be talking football for 3 hours straight, however long it is, and it's going to be a blast. So hopefully everybody will join us live stream over on our YouTube page. So if you're listening, make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe. If you're watching, you're already here. Just make sure that you set your timer, that you follow on Twitter, that you set the notification bell. As a matter of fact, I'll go on and toss that up on the screen, let everybody know to make sure and subscribe, and like the video, of course, and hit that notification bell. So, live show. Chris, are you excited about it?
Yeah, man. No, I'm excited. I got to get my studio set back up. So it's been torn down for a while doing some home project crap, but I am excited.
No, this is going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk about some NFL draft stuff, maybe some picks or whatever towards the end of the show. We got some other topics that we're going to hit first. Hey, did you see my tweet on Friday that I am getting a recliner?
Okay, I missed that.
I have never owned a recliner in my adult life. Like, my dad always had one when we were growing up, but as I have lived in different locations and whatnot, I've never gotten a recliner. Like, I've always had couches and stuff like that, and I've always had my computer, really nice computer chair that I sit in, but I've never had a recliner to just sit and watch games. And now I am incredibly excited about this. It's going to be showing up this week. Probably
what kind of recliner did we get? What were we talking?
We got a Lazy Boy with the massager in it. Like, I went above board. I went crazy. I went all in on it because we got a new sectional for the living room, and I had this long discussion with my wife, and I said, if we are going to get a sectional, I want a recliner for the man cave. And to my surprise, she actually said okay. Like, she went along with this. And so we got the order in and everything. I knew exactly what I wanted, and it will be here. So I am pumped about this. But it's never been something that I really wanted to spend money on. I don't spend money on myself very much. So this go round, I said, you know what? Before football season, I want to make sure I've got a recliner to go with all of my TVs and everything else that's in there. And that is where I'm going to be taking my naps on the weekends and everything else. I am pumped about this.
Do you think that's the age we are? Because I've been the same way. I don't spend money on myself. I never really have. But like, I don't know. I mean, I would say within the last year, easily, I just kind of said, screw that. If I want something, I'm buying it. Don't care.
Yes.
And some things I haven't bought yet, but like I got my eye on.
But you know you're going to.
Like, I know I'm about to drop a lot of money on something just for me that I want. Nobody else in my family cares about it. It won't benefit anyone else, but it's going to benefit me.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we are getting to that age. I mean, I turned 40 in January.
Yep.
I think that's it. Like, I've never really needed a recliner, and it's not that I really need one right now, but man, I'm pumped about this thing. Like,
yeah,
I'm so excited.
I've got one. They're really nice.
Oh yeah, no, I've sat in yours. Like, and I've always thought it'd be really nice to have this at home, so I could just, pop the seat back and maybe take a little cat nap, on a Sunday afternoon or something. Like, once I work myself to the bone out in the yard or whatever else, I'd like to be able to just come in and relax a little bit. So yeah, I got the massager and everything, man. I am pumped about this. So I figured you would get it, right? Other people have been like, I don't really get what the big deal is. But you, of all people, are like, yes, get the recliner.
Yeah, get the recliner. No, I'm with you. So if I didn't have a dog that I was afraid would tear it up, after like this last trip to Disney World, where I spent every morning before the family woke up, like drinking my coffee and sitting in like a professional massage chair. Oh, I was strongly trying to figure out where in the house I could put $7,000 massage chair.
Oh yeah. Oh, most certainly. Most certainly.
Now
this ain't no $7,000.
Oh no, but that's a professional massage chair.
Exactly.
Like no, I was really looking forward to that.
I like it. All right, we've talked long enough about this. Let's jump into actual football topics. We will start off with the Notre Dame athletic director, Jack Swarbrick. He talked to Sports Illustrated, and I think Pat Forty was the main guy.
Yeah, it was Pat Forty.
So the article that I've got pulled up is from Zach Barnett, and it basically just summarizes this thing over at Football Scoop. But it says he sees a great split coming in college athletics. Major college sports will not split into fourths, Notre Dame's AD predicts, but into two distinct types of college football programs. And he goes through basically and says that, this is going to be interesting. This is basically, we've got the Big Ten and the SEC. It's stuff that we have talked about. But when the football administrators are actually saying this, that's when it begins to be a little bit more real. He said there's always been sort of a spectrum, and I want to stress that everything along the spectrum is valid. It's not a criticism. He said on one end of it, you license the school name and run an independent business that's engaged in sports. On the other end of the spectrum, you're integrated into the university in terms of decision-making and requirements, and some follow that. He said, I think both can produce great athletic competition, but it's really hard to get there given the contractual obligations that already exist. And I see where he's coming from with this, right? Like, I do think we are going to have that. He said in this, basically, you're going to have many NFL, many NBA, and athletes are just athletes. If they want to attend class, they can. If they don't want to, that's fine too. Like, they're going to receive a salary probably under a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement. And he said basically the surprising thing to me was that Notre Dame is going to remain in the future NCAA and not the mini NFL. He said you're going to have these two conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC, that have so distanced themselves from anyone else financially, which, by the way, the number is estimated at this point, and I forget where I read this, but by 2026, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be bringing in $50 million more per school than the next closest conference. Like, it's going to be astronomical, the division between these leagues. So there is no Power 5 anymore. You and I have said this. There's a Power 2. But I'm curious your thought on this when it comes to Notre Dame. Swarbrick is saying that Notre Dame will not be a part of this mini NFL. But, we talked last week about Brian Kelly maybe leaking a little early that Swarbrick and what's the guy's name? Father Jack? Is that at the school president or the chancellor? They're probably going to retire within 2 years. Do you think that Notre Dame, under different leadership, would be more likely to be one of these mini NFL schools or one of these that actually puts academics into it?
All right. So, tough question. And the reason I say that is normally my initial response would be, who the hell does this guy think he's – because I don't believe he's going to be the decision maker for this, for Notre Dame.
Right.
Okay? Like, it's easy for him to say, Notre Dame's not going to be a part of this. But I don't believe he's going to have the decision. There is a part of me that he knows the people that run Notre Dame well enough, though, to know he probably knows which way they're leaning and what they value over everyone else. So I give him a little bit of credit there that I normally, wouldn't give to someone, because Notre Dame's a unique place. I think he's dead on. I think he's 100% right. I think that's absolutely going to happen. Me and you talked about it. We didn't know when, but there's just too much of a separation between everyone else. Now, I think he's got some things blown out of proportion. I don't think we're ever going to get to a day where they are just employees. and that they're going to make collectively bargained salary. And I don't think that we're going to get to a point where academics will be nothing. Like, you're just an employee of the school, and you show up and you go to work, but you don't have to take classes. Like, it's not part of it. I don't think we're actually going to ever get to that point. I don't.
You might be right about that. We might
I think
not
that's
get there.
fear-mongering. I think people who say that stuff is just trying to stir things up.
Even if we did, I think at that point you have to look at maybe splitting up conferences, right? Because I don't know that every school in the SEC would want to do that. And I'm mainly looking at Vanderbilt, but you can look at some of the other ones as well. And I don't even know who to name or what fan base I might piss off by saying somebody's name. But it would be the same thing with the Big Ten. We know that the Big Ten is going to be bringing in money, but do you think that Michigan would ever split up academics and their athletics?
No. And here's the thing. Because of that, Michigan's not going to allow anybody else to do it. Like, Northwestern's not going to do that.
Agreed.
Like, there's just too many schools in some of these conferences for it to get to that point. Now, will they agree to remove themselves from the NCAA and want to go more towards, a football-centric, university? Yeah, I could see that. I can absolutely see that. And I don't have a problem with that, by the way. I'd like to be on record as saying I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But the idea that these guys are ever going to get collectively bargained salaries is just not going to happen. Because we live in a world where everybody wants everything to be the fairest it could possibly be. But we're just never going to get that, okay?
Yeah.
We're just not going to get it.
No, there's always going to be something for people to complain about that needs to be redone, et cetera. But I just don't know that this is one of those things that has to be completely torn down, right?
And here's the problem. Hang on. We all acknowledge, universally, not one soul that follows this sport, okay, whether that be basketball or football or, hell, even baseball now, anything about college athletics, that not one soul that covers them, that can be honest with themselves, will say the NCAA is doing a good job, that they actually serve a purpose that benefits the sports, the schools, the kids. They don't do anything. They don't do anything right. They don't do anything well, and they don't do anything good at all. And nobody thinks they do.
Yeah.
So why would we be shocked at these schools? Like, why do you take it as I want to leave this group that's horrible at everything they do, but takes a huge chunk of money from us? Why does leaving them mean blowing the whole thing up? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on this. It was shocking to hear somebody actually talk on the record about it, because you've obviously heard the rumors. Everybody knows where this thing is headed. It's just to what level is it getting there? Like, some people think that the finish line is much, much further down the road, and others believe that we may already be there. Like, with the NIL and everything else, this may be the only change that we really get. And who knows? Who knows what that is? But to have Jack Swarbrick, who is one of the founding, not founding, what's a good word? One of the aged ADs that has been around the block, right? Like,
yeah, and he's been Notre Dame. Not like, this ain't just some little old school that don't matter. Okay, Notre Dame matters in the grand scheme of college football.
Yes.
And I think it would be a shame if Notre Dame did not join the group that leaves the NCAA. I do think that would be a sad day for college athletics. I
do as well. Now, him saying that, leaving the NCAA, I think what he was really trying to get at was we're going to have a separation between Division I, right? I think FBS football, which is currently this season, will be 131 schools because they added James Madison. Soon it will be like 134. When they do that, I think eventually we're going to get to a point where you've got 40 teams, and it may just be those Power 5, quote-unquote, schools. It may be those Power 5 schools separated from the G5, and that may just be the even split. So who knows? But I think that's what he was really trying to get at, is there are going to be schools that care way more about football, and we already know what that division is, right? We already see that split every weekend. But the question came in of, okay, well, what does it look like? Does it look like we still have those non-conference games between Georgia Southern and USC, to toss in a Clay Helton reference there? I mean, do we have non-conference games, or is it those 40 teams or those 60 teams or whatever it is that really care more about football? Do they only play each other? I think that's where this thing was meant to be headed, and they just had him on the record, and he just blurted out a whole lot of stuff, right? So we're trying to figure out exactly what he was saying with it, but he's saying exactly what we've been talking about for well over a year now. There are schools that care more about football than others, and eventually they will split because the rules should not be the same for Georgia Southern and for LSU and Alabama and Notre Dame, really.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Speaking of one of those schools, we'll change topics right here. Speaking of one of those schools that cares a little more about football than some of the others, Oklahoma. Their spring game on Saturday, they drew 75,360 people for Brent Venables' first spring game. Now, Josh Pate over at 247 talked about this on his show on Sunday night, and I agree with everything that he said. For the most part, spring football attendance does not matter. There's nothing about it that really draws in eyeballs or anything like that. But what does draw eyeballs is when a fan base is completely united and recruits see it. That's one thing that you as a fan can do to help change the projection of a new coaching staff. Show that you are really fully behind them, etc., and it will help just a slight bit at the very beginning of a recruiting class, etc., right? Something like that can show that there is momentum, there is belief, there is hype in the program, and I thought it was awesome. Did you see the pictures from Oklahoma spring game?
Yeah, but I don't care.
I know you don't.
It's a spring game.
Exactly. But the fact that they did sell it out, it was a pretty big deal.
Hang on. Your logic doesn't make any sense, Gary. Because while I believe what you're saying is true about Oklahoma, Nebraska has done the exact same thing the last couple of years, and ain't nobody in that building supportive of the coaching staff. But they love the team, they love the school, and it's tradition, so damn it, we're going to do it.
I see where you're coming from.
I don't agree that just because you're all showing up for this new coach means you're in and you support it, which, they do, but what are you supposed to do? If he starts off the year going 6-6, then they ain't going to support him no more.
Well, no, they definitely won't.
It doesn't matter what happened on the spring game. There's not a single team that hired a new coach this year that isn't 100% all in on their coach.
Hey, you might be right about that. I will say this about Nebraska. Yes, they've been doing this forever. They drew 54,000 to their spring game a couple of weeks ago. But even still, it does show, and it helps get guys in out of the transfer portal, etc. It helps people take the job that maybe wouldn't going forward. Stuff like that does make a difference. But I will say this, aside from the attendance and everything else, I think the biggest thing that happened with it was actually Barry Switzer announcing that he is leading Oklahoma's NIL efforts with plans to pay every Sooner football player. They have created a new collective, and it has designs, as you can see on the screen for anybody that's watching, it has designs on paying every Sooner football player at least $40,000 per year. Now, this is something that can certainly make a big difference. They had Baker Mayfield back in town. They did all these different things. It was just a fun weekend to be an Oklahoma fan, I would imagine. But along with that, you finally get a collective at Oklahoma, and we're seeing these pop up just about everywhere, right? Tennessee's collective is already paid.
If you're going to be a major program,
you have to do this.
Have this now.
Yes, you do. So the fact that Oklahoma has gotten theirs put together, and it's not just a collective that is, hey, we've got a collective now. That's all that they announce for the most part. And then you see something come out about the quarterback, Nico I am a Lavea or whatever it is, getting an $8 million contract. You see that, and you're like, oh, man, all right, there's a lot of money here. But when you see Switzer come in with his collective that's talking about paying every player at least $40,000, that's a pretty big deal. Now, that can help change some recruiting efforts. So what were your thoughts on that one? It's like $40 to $50K per player.
So here, all right. So we disagree again. All this does is mean you got a lot of walk-ons making some money. Every scholarship kid out there is going to be able to get something close to $40,000. Okay, if you're a 4-star guy being recruited, highly recruited, you're in the level of being able to make you some money. Okay,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And I think all these guys are getting well more than $40,000. Okay, across the 4 years, you're basically, because I don't think this is $40,000 a year. I think it's just $40,000. So it's $10,000 a year, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're talking about is all your walk-ons. So, all right, you might be able, and this might be what Oklahoma needs. Because we've talked about some of these schools that have struggled to where they can hang with 22, but they can't hang with 56.
Exactly.
They can't hang with 70. In the amount of players on the team. If this helps them do that, that's great. The issue is I don't think this is going to help them do that for legit guys that are going to be starters. I think this will make their coaches. I think it'll make teams that do something like this incredibly deep. But if your starters aren't equal to the starters behind them, then across the field from them, then that depth won't matter a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that this necessarily adds anything that we didn't already expect out of Oklahoma. I think what this does is makes it where they continue to meet those certain expectations that we have for the program.
I'll tell you this, though. I also think this is a good thing. Like, we're living in the world, which if you look at the NFL, if you look at the professional world, it's this way anyway, right? We're somebody on the team makes $30 million and somebody on the team makes $1.2 million, right? Like the payroll discrepancy is a thing across the board. Like, only if you work for a government agency is your payroll set by somebody else. And it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at your job, you all make the same because you work for the government. Okay?
Yes.
So every industry in the world has these separations of gaps and talent and money. But making the floor $40K, that's a big deal. Like, that will change a lot of walk-on guys' lives. Because there's a lot of guys that probably stay closer to home for walk-on purposes just because they can't afford to go away, pay out-of-state tuition, do things like this. So I think even your walk-on guys are going to – you are going to have depth. And then your practices are going to be far more competitive because you're going to have real talent. Now, those guys have to decide, do I want to walk on at Oklahoma, knowing there's a chance I'll probably never get a chance to play, or do I go take a scholarship at a smaller school?
Yeah, and when you've got a scholarship, obviously
turn down an FCS.
Yeah.
Do I turn down an FCS? If you're a scholarship kid, that's fine. But if they're doing this for everybody, now some of those walk-ons at Oklahoma could be starting at FCS schools. They could go down, not even FCS. They go down to Rice. They can be starters.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what Notre Dame. That's what Nebraska did in the 80s and 90s. They built such a huge walk-on program that it was able to develop kids into being, big-time starters by the time they were juniors and seniors. So you can bring them in as a walk-on and help them develop, redshirt a year, and then by the time they're fifth-year seniors, they are mauling everybody on the offensive line. A bunch of corn-fed boys.
And if you can keep them, you're Brent Venables, you keep them. If you're trying to build a tough football team, which he is, that's how you do it.
Oh, you got that right.
You get some toughness from these kids, and that's a big deal. Because now you're going to have some juniors and seniors on the team that were never scholarship guys, but they got paid, they showed up, they went to work every day, they went to class every day, and they grinded it out. And by the time they're 23 years old, some hot shot 18-year-olds coming in there, and that guy might have a bunch of stars next to his name, but you've got experience. You've got a lot of time in the weight room under a meal plan and all the benefits of being at a major D1 school, and you're going to be a lot harder to beat out for your job. So
I agree.
I do think that's a good thing for Oklahoma, because $40K minimum. Because like I said, LSU's got a collective. Every school out there has a collective. If you're getting in on the NIL deal,
yeah. If you're getting serious about football, then yeah.
I don't know that any of them have a floor that's $40K.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I know that there's some elsewhere. Texas has some kind of NIL thing set up for every offensive lineman to get $50K a year. But it's not like for the whole team. Miami.
But that's different.
Yeah, like Miami, you remember us talking about Miami having one where everybody gets like 50 or 60K.
But hang on, I remember the Miami, everybody's going to be on it. I don't remember there being a number to
it. It was like maybe you're right. I may be misremembering
60K seems like a lot. I don't remember 60K or 50K. Now,
I'll have to go back and look that up.
I could be dead wrong because I don't know. I'm just telling you what I remember and what I don't.
Yeah. No, I
remember Miami was the first to say we were going to do something for everybody.
Like everybody will get something. It might just be like $1,000 or something like that, but every athlete
we don't know
will get
what
something.
It is.
That's interesting. Yeah. Let me go ahead and knock out these reads right quick. Go ahead and remind everybody to head over to the website, winningcureseverything.com, if you would so kindly. Everything that you need to know about us, you can find out over there. And, of course, with that, make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast and that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Both of those, you can find the show every single time out. Very easy to do. We're also on Twitch and on Twitter, etc. You can find all that. But if you're on YouTube, make sure and like the video. Hit the notification bell. It's going to let you know when we go live, which we will be doing. Go ahead and remind everybody. On Thursday night, tell you again, Thursday night, April 28th, NFL Draft, first round. We will be coming in a little bit after it begins, around 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. After we've already had a few different picks and whatnot, we're going to let things kind of get going, and then we will ease into it. But yeah, it's us and the Westlake Pirate guys, so you can go follow them. Also, you can find it on the website, westlakepirates.com. Along with that, you can find us on Twitter. I am at GaryWCE. Chris is at Chris B. Giannini, and the show is at Winning Cures. Also, I am hosting the BetUS NFL show on Tuesday, April 26th, so make sure and head over there. You can find that stuff over at betustv.com. We are going over NFL draft and whatnot on the BetUS NFL show as well. So, next up on the board, we have got Fox has purchased an additional stake in the Big Ten. Now, this is kind of a big deal. Article over at Awful Announcing says, with Fox reaching an extension with the Big Ten, what happens now for ESPN and other possible right suitors? Now, this is something that we have been talking about for quite some time, about all of the different ways that the Big Ten contract could go, right? Because they were the next one up. But now, John Orand over at Sports Business Journal dropped a bomb that basically said Fox has purchased 61% of the Big Ten and their media rights and whatnot going through now. They, of course, included an extension in this. I believe it was through 2031. So now the Fox thing is set. So what ends up coming after that, I'm not really sure. Fox already owns, they own the majority of the Big Ten network and all that. So it makes sense that Fox would be in there. And this is just another example of why the Big Ten is not going to sign off on anything as far as playoff expansion until they can get Fox in as a part of that deal. They are tied at the hip to Fox, and the SEC is tied at the hip to ESPN. So unless you get both of those included in an ESPN or an NFL, in a college football playoff, that's what I'm looking for, you're not going to have anything else happen as far as college football expansion until this thing goes to open market. Were you surprised at all, Chris, that they ended up, going ahead and maybe extending this thing out and giving Fox an even bigger piece of the pie?
Oh, no, because Fox offered him a bunch of money.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, they're getting paid what they think it's worth, and I don't blame them. And also, I do think what this does is this definitively lets ESPN know and if you're Fox, this is why you had to do it, by the way. This lets ESPN know where you're not going to own the playoffs the way you own the playoffs. So, like, if you want Big Ten to be a part of it, you're going to have a relationship with Fox, and we're going to have to open this thing up. And you want to expand the playoffs to make more money, and the sport wants to expand the playoffs to make more money, you're going to have to give something. And I think that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. I think another surprising part about this was, you do have media consultants that typically work with these leagues on stuff like this, but in this situation, like, the Big Ten did not bring in any kind of consultant, anything like that, and they are actually letting Fox help consult them. They've got two guys from Fox, and I forget what their names are, that are actually helping consult them in whatever the next piece of this deal is, whether that's with ESPN, Apple TV, Amazon, CBS, whoever. Fox is going to be a part of those negotiations, which I found very strange.
I think that is strange. Now,
Yes.
That part is strange because Fox is not going to consult them or advise them to do anything that's not in the best interest of Fox, which
Right.
means you might be taking a deal that's not in your best interest, being the Big Ten. That's not wise. That's not smart.
Yeah, it's very strange because I don't know what it means. Like, money is one thing, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot in this article over at Awful Announcing about the idea that Amazon and Apple could pay more than, some of these legacy networks. But if you don't build that fan base, how much is it going to hurt you going into the future, right? We believe that these schools are already set, right? Like USC, we would have never imagined that USC would ever have a problem getting any kind of TV deal with the Pac-12 or whatever else. But you see, after years and years of not being seen by a lot of the country, it definitely hurts them going forward. So with Apple TV or Amazon or something like that coming in, if people cannot find your games, does the casual fan kind of lose interest in your program? Like, that's what I'm really curious about, is what do they end up doing with that? The SEC years ago saw the value in being on CBS every Saturday. Yeah. And the Big Ten is doing the same thing with Fox. Like, they understand the value of being on Fox, network television. What is the other half of the Big Ten going to do here? Like, are they going to do just, hey, we're on Fox, so we can do something crazy with the other part, like go to Apple TV? That's where it could get kind of tricky, and Fox be like, hey, get as much money out of this section of the deal, because, again, this part of the contract is only going to go through, like, 2030 or 2031 or whatever, and that's still 5 years before the ACC's deal is up. So maybe just take a big chunk of cash at first, and then maybe you go back to the legacy networks and see what the landscape is like in 2030. So you kind of feel like that would be a solution here?
I mean, that's a solution. So I just, like I said, I find it strange. I just find it strange. I mean, I don't have an answer, but I mean,
no, you're right.
I don't know what they're going to do, but I also don't know what TV's going to look like then. So,
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is like, maybe get the cash while you can, and then you figure out the landscape after that. But again, like, how much does it hurt you in the meantime, and how long would those streaming companies want that contract to be? Like, I don't know. The MLB
they
stuff.
haven't married themselves into any streaming companies yet, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't care.
Well, actually, this takes me into a new topic, which it's part of the streaming situation. Let's talk about Amazon, and they want the NFL Black Friday game. Now, they've been talking about this for, a long time now. A very, very long time. But, again, an article here, a Black Friday NFL game on Amazon is reportedly now going to happen by next year at the latest. And this is per Peter King over at NBC Sports. Amazon is bidding between $70 and $100 million for this game. It's a standalone game. Tell me, I'm curious your thoughts here. Do we need an NFL game on Black Friday?
Hell yeah. Why don't we? It's a day where everybody's sitting on home. Okay? And college football is not giving you all the product that they could give you.
That's true.
So if you're the NFL, of course you don't give a shit about college football anyway.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna put whatever product you want out there.
Yeah, you take whatever you want.
And so why would you not go after it? Why would you not go do it? That would be foolish. Not do it.
It does make sense. I'm curious if they move
it's
maybe.
It's a day where everybody's sitting at home, and you have no NFL games on. Go get that money.
I think it's
games. Go get that market share.
I think it's pretty obvious why Amazon would be bidding so much for the game, because they want everybody to see their name all over the place on Black Friday when everybody's supposed to be cyber shopping and whatnot, right? Like that's the spot. Go ahead and knock out that Black Friday game, and everybody buy Amazon stuff while you're sitting here watching the game.
Or get ready and start advertising Cyber Monday deals.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. So
you go ahead and start putting stuff in your Amazon cart, and then come Monday. And if I had to guess, what Amazon's probably going to do is they'll just do away with the Cyber Monday deals, and they'll just have Black Friday deals, just like everybody else did.
Probably so. I'm curious on this. Does the NFL end up taking do they take one of the games away from Thursday, like from Thanksgiving, and just move it over to Black Friday, or do they take one of the Sunday games?
No, take a Sunday game. You already have so many damn Sunday morning games. Those 1 o'clock games, they end up with like 9 games at one time. The best thing the NFL could do is always make that 1 o'clock slate a little bit smaller. Because at no time is somebody going to say, oh, there's no good games on, I'm not watching. No. Sunday morning comes around, Sunday afternoon comes around, we're all watching.
And you still got your London games and stuff like that for like early Sunday morning. So the NFL is quickly turning into college football with all the different time windows that they can end up filling. It could be interesting. I think having a Black Friday game could be cool. Like I'd just sit and watch this on the iPad while Arkansas, Missouri on or whatever, or Nebraska and Iowa, which is always a Black Friday game on ABC. So yeah, this could be interesting.
What are the chances that if they got one game? What are the chances at the same time?
It's
if you're college football and you have a premier game and you see what time slot the NFL goes to, you just move your game. If the NFL is going to do prime time, then that's 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Then you've got from noon until 5 or 6 o'clock to play your damn game.
You think that's the best time on Black Friday? Would it be prime time or would it be like middle of the day?
I would have no idea. I mean, I'm going to be sitting on my ass doing, I'm not going shopping.
I guess if you want the most people, you want it to be like maybe mid-afternoon. Like maybe we have like a 6 p.m.
A 2:30, 3 o'clock game.
Yeah.
And that might be it. But here's the thing. If you're college football, do not make your schedule. See, this is why they need a czar to make rules. Do not make your schedule until you see what time the NFL game is, because you don't want to program against them directly.
True.
If you don't have to. And if you've got 3 marquee games on, and there are 3 to 4 time slots that you could put your games on, then make sure you don't pick one where the NFL's on.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's move off of that one. Let's go ahead and jump into another topic here and write my time down. It is officially transfer week in college football. Now, you asked me this question before we actually went live. You said, what in the world is going on here? Like, what is transfer week? And I will explain, because there are a lot of people that do not understand what's going on. There is a time period after spring practice and before May 1st. May 1st is the transfer deadline. Your name has to be in the portal if you want to transfer and be eligible for the fall football season. We are going to have so many kids transfer out. We've already had multiple that have been added just since I last updated this thing. I think we're at 22 for today that have already put their name in the transfer portal, and there will be more at the end of the evening. There's going to be more on Tuesday, Wednesday, as we get more information, etc. This entire week is going to be full of kids that are transferring out. And for those that are watching, you can see it on the screen. It's over at 247 Sports in their transfer portal section. But there were already a ton of kids in there anyway. But you can see going back to on Friday and all that, after all of these kids get done with their spring practice, they're tossing their name out there. So there are still some really good players that will be available that can help with depth, that can help with all kinds of different things. You can still find some star guys out in the portal. This is going to be a huge week for a lot of programs. I mean, just a lot of programs. Do you think that we still what are your thoughts on all the different people that have come out lately? And Hugh Freeze is the latest one that is talking about, hey, we need windows. We need some kind of regulation as far as transfer goes. And we've already got this one. We've got May 1st. But do you think that we do need some kind of maybe one that you can't transfer after, January until we get into April or something like that, so that you know what your depth looks like, so that you know what the situation is if you are a college head coach? Because we did have multiple schools that didn't have enough offensive linemen, Texas being one of them, to even field a real spring game. Other places like defensive line, linebackers, etc. Like you don't have enough guys. What are your thoughts on this situation?
So I normally am not a big regulation guy because I don't trust people who make rules for the most part. But this makes sense, right? Like as long as you ask for things that are reasonable, then I am going to be very accommodating to you. Okay? And I believe that this is a reasonable request. I don't have any problems with it. I don't have any issues with it. This is one of those situations where if you said between February and April, you cannot enter the transfer portal. You're not in the transfer portal by February
If you're not in the transfer portal in January, then you can't you can't transfer without penalty.
Well, I'd say February because you got to wait until the national championship's over.
We have a national championship's
over.
What
if you want to transfer, but you play on the national championship game?
Yeah, but you've still got 3 weeks. I mean, the national championship game is played like January 10th, 11th, 12th.
So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying once February starts, you're saying January. In January, well, January, 14th is still in January.
Yes.
So
yes.
All right. So once February starts, you have to be in the transfer portal or not.
Exactly.
And then you don't get another shot to jump in it until April or whatever. And if you're not in it by certain time, you can jump in. You just can't play the following year. And there is no, mama's sick and I want to play closer to home. Can I get an exemption? No. You had all these times to do it. So you either do it in the window or you just don't get to play that 1 year.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to get to a point where we're making exceptions for certain people all the time. And I also don't want to make the windows so tight on kids that they have to make a pretty major life-changing decision and on a whim. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, agreed. So
I don't have a problem with them giving it a window. I think it's a reasonable request pending what the window is.
Yeah, it's so long as it's not, hey, it's kind of like a signing day, right?
In
early signing day,
that they don't get a break because I'm constantly recruiting because I don't know what my team's going to always look like. I'm really sorry that these monster 7 and 8 figure jobs are hard. All right, that we actually make you work your ass off for your monster 7 to 8 figure job. I apologize that you don't get to take months off to go to 30A and hang out with the family. I'm so sorry. Try me a river. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
No, I'm with you. It does make sense.
Your problems aren't real problems.
But the problem
who cares about them should shut up.
The problem of the roster and making sure that you have enough players to fill a certain position, that one's a little bit of a different situation. So yes, having some kind of regulation in there is not a bad thing. It just makes it to where you have to put some thought into it before you actually transfer, right?
Yes, but so my issue with some of that is some of that's got to be on that damn coach. staff,
Oh,
right?
yes. Yes.
Like, if you don't have a relationship with enough offensive linemen on your team, or you know there's enough that are disgruntled and you're not bringing more in, that's on you, man. That is at what point in time is this on Texas for not being prepared?
Well, there's all, and they did have some guys out with injuries and this and that, and they've got like 6 guys that are enrolling over the summer, but they weren't here for spring ball. So it's like there's a whole list of different things. But again, like there's 2 sides to everything, right?
But hang on, this coaching staff was the coaching staff that was there last year, right? It's not like new coaching staff, new turnover, and so we lost a bunch of guys. This ain't Oklahoma, this ain't LSU, this ain't Notre Dame, this ain't one of them things.
Oh, but it's still
there's
like
no reason,
heading into the second
no
year
for you to not be prepared and not have enough guys on your spring practice. There's just no reason for that. That's on the coaching staff.
Yeah, okay. I'm not disagreeing here. I'm not disagreeing with that. This will take us into, by the way, since we've already been at this for 45 minutes, I do want to change topics. I am ready to discuss a little bit of the NFL draft before we talk about it on Thursday's live show. Now, I'm curious exactly what you, my friend, are most interested in the NFL draft on Thursday night. Is it, what are the quarterbacks going to look like? What is the interest level in the quarterbacks? Is it the fact that we've now got 4 guys really that could reasonably go number 1 overall? I'm curious your thoughts on what we will be looking forward to on Thursday.
The first thing that I'm excited about and looking forward to is the draft being in Las Vegas and the type of show that Vegas is able to put on with the draft and all that goes on with it. The city I love. It is a city that puts on a show better than any place on the planet, in my eyes. And I'm just really curious to see how they do it, what it looks like. So that has nothing to do with the team, has nothing to do with the players. That is the city of Las Vegas is the star this night, and I am real excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm with you. The thing is going to be set up at the Bellagio.
I saw them building the ramp. It's going to be in the damn fountain.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about is how exactly do they make this happen? And I'm actually pulling it up now on the screen so that people can see it.
They were building ramps this weekend so the players can walk out there and to build a stage in the fountain.
I mean, it's cool. Like, it's really cool.
It's pretty incredible looking. So I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know whatever. The concept, I'm a big fan of.
It's a little strange.
That's a city that I trust to put on a show right.
Well, yes. I mean, absolutely. Las Vegas knows what they're doing. It's strange to have it set up to where you can't have, like, anybody in front. Like, there's it's a little weird the way that they did it. They're going to have to shut down the strip and everything, of course. But it's just weird to have water in front so that the audience is so far away from the stage.
I don't think water's going to be in front.
I know. I mean, I've got the picture pulled up. It's like,
do they have it done? I just saw them building it. I thought they were building it and water was going to be behind them.
No. I mean, water's behind them, but it's also in front of them as well. So, I mean, unless they're going to have people out like on canoes and stuff, little paddle boats. I don't know how they're going to have people in front of the stage. Like, it's a little strange. So, but I mean, they could build out that platform. They could just, I mean, who knows? These are kind of early pictures before Thursday. But yeah, I'm curious. So the show part, yes, absolutely. I know that you are very interested in that. Now, aside from that, is there any one team in particular that you are curious what they end up doing with their pick, et cetera?
I mean, not really. I don't care about any NFL team and what they do. Neither of the teams that I really love are picking early or have a glaring hole. I mean, so yeah, like I'm very curious to take another swing at wide receiver. Like that intrigues me a little bit. It's like the one kryptonite for this damn guy. And he's been bad at that. Player-wise, I'm interested in the quarterbacks. I've told you before. Everyone shits on this quarterback class, and I just don't understand that. I think Matt Corral is unbelievable. I think he's going to be a fantastic pro, and I like Desmond Ridder a lot. I just don't know why everyone's shitting on this class. I can't tell you. I tell you this. Right now, I believe I like Matt Corral and Desmond Ridder today more than I ever liked Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, like all these guys. And it's easy in hindsight to see them. But you and I talked about those drafts before they happened. And I wasn't a fan of any. The only quarterback, now I would have missed on Josh Allen because I wasn't in on him. The only quarterback that I loved from that draft, and I told you, gave me the number 1 overall pick, I would have taken Lamar Jackson. I really believe he was that much better than all the rest of them. And I'm going to tell you, outside of Josh Allen, I was right on that, by the way. I was 1,000,000% right about that. So, I would take the prospect of Corral and Ridder over these guys. I don't hate Malik Willis. Man, somebody said some shit about Willis that got leaked out this weekend. I am trying to remember who it was. They basically said he's not a quarterback. Oh, somebody from the Steelers, wasn't it? That said he doesn't play quarterback. Oh, go look this up. You got to look this up. This is your organization, I believe. There's some scout from the Steelers. My brain is not good right now, so that could be completely wrong. Somebody said that that Malik Willis is not a quarterback. He is just a running back, and anybody who drafts him to be their quarterback will be a failure. It was something to that extreme, and I thought, holy shit, that, like, you got some, like, I say crazy shit like that, and I really believe it when I believe it about a player. There aren't many people in the NFL that work for organizations that actually tell you what they think. They all hide their feelings.
I Googled Malik Willis not a quarterback, but I'm not seeing anything.
It was on the Twitter. Dan, look up. Shit. Maybe Danny Heifetz is one of the Ringer guys. I thought retweeted it or commented about it. I'm sorry. I know this is like terrible radio.
No, it's okay. Who am I looking for?
Like, I don't think Danny Heifetz. I couldn't tell you how to spell his name. It starts with an H. I don't know. He's on the Ringer, but that doesn't help you much.
Let's see. Malik Willis.
They got like 9 Dannys that work for the Ringer. I'm almost positive he retweeted it with a comment that was pretty like shocking for it. I'm driving right now, or else I would have done it.
I am not seeing. We may have to talk about this on Thursday night.
Maybe. All right, I got Danny pulled up here real quick. I'm about to
maybe you can do it. Yeah.
Retweet it and you could read it. Anyway, this is terrible radio. Go on and talk about what you want, and then we'll go from there. What do you think? Because I told you what I think. I like the quarterback, and
I think the quarterbacks are fine.
Selfishly, the only player I care about seeing where he lands is Stingley. That's the list. That's my guy. My guy at the top of the draft, and I think he should be taken number 1 overall. So there we go.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. The Trayvon Walker stuff has been very curious. The fact that, like, I don't think we're going to get a lot of quarterback run. I think we're going to get a huge wide receiver run, especially late in the first round, because I don't expect any of these guys to be, like, great early, but I do think it's going to be like Jamison Williams. I'll tell you, bet before tomorrow, I think we're going to have over 5.5 wide receivers taken in the first round. So I don't.
In the first round? Yeah. No, I agree with you. Completely.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy.
The wide receiver I'm most curious to see where he goes is Burks, because that's the dude I've loved all year. Like, I watched that guy wreck the SEC, and as much as I love KJ, I don't know if he's that good of a quarterback. And I think he did it with a mediocre quarterback. I think he carried that offense. And I'm very excited to see where he lands.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Well, just wherever he ends up going, that's what I'd like to see. I'm curious.
He's he's the one star player that's not in my eye, like that I'm not connected to, that I don't have any bias towards.
So the Burks thing, I think he would fit in really well with the Packers, but I'm curious whether or not he ends up dropping that far.
I mean, he'd fit in anywhere, Gary. He's a monster receiver that can go up and get it.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. So there's going to be a lot when it comes to this. All of it is so interesting, just so interesting. I think this is going to be the most wide open NFL draft that we've had in a very, very long time.
Anybody who thinks that they have mock draft this one even close to right, I think they're fooling themselves. I just think they're all crazy.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And you got a couple of pieces. I think Baker could be traded, which means somebody could be moving draft picks, maybe not first round picks. I think there's absolutely a chance that Deebo Samuel is going to get dealt the Thursday because did you see the pictures of Deebo like at a club and somebody had a sign up that was like Deebo say it? Deebo was like with the throat cut, like nope,
bro,
not happening.
Yeah, I saw it. Just unreal.
Yeah.
So I could see it Thursday night because I would imagine San Francisco would want a first round pick this year if they were going to.
They're going to want
trade
one this year because they don't have one, and they're going to need one this year if you want Deebo.
It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting.
I'm excited to see that. That'll be the biggest splash of the whole weekend. That will own the night. It won't be a draft pick. It will be a trade for Deebo.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. That'll be the biggest move of the entire weekend. So let's close out with this. We'll move into a little boxing here. Did you see good old Tyson Fury on Saturday, where he knocked out Dylan White?
So I am very anti-bootlegging these things, but I wasn't about to pay $70 for a fight that happened at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
It's so weird.
I'm just not boozed up enough for you to swindle me out of my $70. And so I sat back, I waited an hour, I checked Twitter, and you get the whole fight in like 6 seconds.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I love that, man.
They have taken down all the KO videos and whatnot. Everything that you could see on Twitter. They took that stuff down. So, but it takes a while for them to take it down. So you got to see the whole thing before they. But
I found the thing, man. I'm breaking the law right now, so nobody called a fuzz on me. Okay, it was Pete Prisco who said it. Pete Prisco says Malik Willis in the quarterback looks a lot like a running back, and there's a bunch of people that are talking about how his comments were insensitive. I don't know that I'm calling him insensitive. I just think he's wrong. I watched this guy play quarterback because me and you over the last couple of years watched a lot of Liberty games. We bet on a lot of Liberty games.
Yeah.
And that man can sling it.
Yeah,
they said the same shit about Lamar. Lamar's only a running back, not a quarterback.
100%. We talked about whether or not it was racist to have him run and actually do some of these wide receiver drills and stuff like that. This is the same situation. It's the same dude.
So it's Pete Prisco. That's a CBS guy, I believe.
Yeah.
He's not a scout.
No,
I shouldn't have thrown your team under the bus.
Hey, it's all good. All the rumors are right now that if Malik Willis is there at 20, that's who the Steelers are going after. But we'll see.
And that's why I thought that's probably why my brain went. It was the Steelers scout that said it.
Is Prisco a Steelers guy?
I don't know. I think he's just a beat writer for CBS. I think he just
covers the league.
He just covered, to my knowledge, he just covers it. Now I don't watch a whole lot of CBS stuff, so don't hold me that. I used to listen to Pete Prisco on a fantasy football podcast I listened to years ago before I realized none of these guys know what the hell they're talking about. It's just a crapshoot. Take the guys you like.
Yeah, you're right about that. Let's finish up with this Tyson Fury thing. So you saw what you needed to see. Did you see that he?
Yeah, I saw him uppercut the shit out of White, and it was okay.
Yes, it was brutal, absolutely brutal. Along with that, he indicated he's basically ready to retire. He did say in this, let's see, there's a quote. He said, "I've done everything asked of me."
Right? Not Fury.
No,
White.
Fury is talking about retiring. He said,
shit.
"I've done everything asked of me." He said, "I've done more promotion, more interviews than anybody. I go above and beyond with all these shows I fight on, so I definitely deserve to be able to make a choice where I think it benefits me most. I've given 20 years to boxing, amateur and professional. I've had my brains knocked out. I've been put down. I've been rocked. I've been cut. I've had tough fights. I've had draws. I've had wins. I've boxed all over the world. How much blood can you get out of a stone? He's 32-0-1 with 23 KOs, and he basically is just like, yeah, I might just be done here. Like, now what's crazy, like, he's doing all of that, but then he also brought Francis Ngannou into the ring, and they're announcing like they're going to do the UFC champ against the WBA, WBC champ in a boxing match, but it's not going to be just boxing. It's going to be like some combination of boxing and MMA. Like, I don't know what to think of this shit anymore.
Well, retiring from boxing is probably smart. He is, and that one draw. I did not see that fight as a draw at all.
No, of course not.
He did get knocked down in the fight, but other than being knocked down, he dominated the shit out of the fight. And he's the only person that's ever gotten up from getting knocked down by Wilder. So
he did say, by the way, just to interrupt you, he did say that he wants Deontay Wilder to fight for his vacant WBC, WBA belt.
Well, because
WBO
Wilder is the best fighter I think he's ever fought.
Yeah, Fury said, I think he's second best. So whoever wins Anthony Joshua against Ulick or whatever, whoever wins that fight, he wants them to have to fight Deontay Wilder for the vacant belt. And
I'd love to see Joshua Wilder. I'd love to see that fight.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's been talking about it for, before we even started this podcast, and that was 6 years ago.
I was just about to say, Gary, it's been a long time we've brought up the triangle of Wilder, Fury, and Joshua. And Johnson.
Yeah.
Joshua. Yeah. No. So I'm excited for him, but I love Tyson Fury. He's the most entertaining fighter that I can remember watching in a long, long time. Because we've gone 20 years without having a real heavyweight that knew how to put on a show the way the old greats put on a show.
Yes.
Okay. They just don't do it. All right. This guy was born to be not just a great fighter, but to be a star.
I mean, it's just crazy. It's
the story's unbelievable as well. So
Would you watch Ngannou against Fury?
I would watch Tyson Fury do anything. I follow him on all social medias. Every interview he does, every little shit talking thing from a throne that he has in his house, I watch them all.
He's a bigger version of Conor McGregor. But I think he's better.
But I don't. He's not a dick. I think that's the difference. I think outside of the ring, I think he's pretty likable.
He's funny.
I don't think Conor has a single friend in his life that he doesn't pay for.
Now, you might be right
about
that.
And I think that friend is a yes man because he's only paid to be there, which means he tells him exactly what he wants to hear. I don't think Conor has a single friend, and that's because Conor's a dick.
You're probably right about that.
Impossible to be around. And I bet Fury is one of the greatest. I bet he's a top 10 hang on the planet right now.
Oh, probably. Yeah. I wish Thursday night we were watching.
There's a very big difference between him and Conor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in a room with Conor unless I was in a building watching him fight. Other than that, I could care less about ever being in his presence at all. That guy's a prick.
I think you have a point. I would love to sit and watch the NFL draft with Tyson Fury.
I would watch anything with that guy. Yeah. No, anything. What is he like? Watch old Ball Bros paintings? Whatever you're into, man, I'm into.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's cool. I didn't know he was thinking about retiring. I missed that because once I saw the fight, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Well, I mean, he just now in the last few years, really got back into the public eye. Really got himself, sober and in shape again, and all that.
Yeah, he disappeared for a long time.
Yeah, and now, of course, he's undefeated. I'm shocked, and he's still relatively young. That's what I'm so curious about. Tyson
but
Fury.
He's taking a beating though, and he understands that. And you got to remember, he started fighting really young.
Oh yeah, no, he did. He's 33 years old. 33.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Guy's big as a damn house. It's hard to look at that guy and think he's a 33-year-old.
Oh, agreed.
That's really hard to. That dude looks like he's 45.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. With all the drugs and everything, he really went through it. So he really went through it. All right. Is there any other topic you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No. I've been watching a lot of baseball as I do, and I would pay pay-per-view money for a Joe Rogan style, whoever the most credible person in baseball is, to do like a 3-hour sit-down conversation with Angel Hernandez to figure out how is it possible for you to still want to go to work at a job that you publicly suck at so bad.
Yeah, the Kyle
Like,
Schwarber
seriously, you
clip
can't need the money. You're
awesome.
at an age where you can retire. And then when that conversation is over, I want to bring whoever's in charge of staffing the Major League umpires into that same chair and sit his ass down for 3 hours and grill him on why in the hell do you continue to employ somebody who is publicly so bad at this job?
It is really bad. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you really only hear criticism of referees. You really don't get a lot of, hey, you know what? He called a good game today. Like, you don't get that a ton, but, like, Hernandez is a whole different deal. Like, this is...
He's famous for being bad.
Yeah.
Like, he's so bad, everybody in the world knows his name. Like, he's more famous than a large population of actual Major League players.
It's true.
It's not even close, by the way.
Do you think he did that on purpose?
I just want to know, how do you like, don't go home and kill yourself, but just don't go to work anymore. Just retire.
It'd make everybody's life a little easier.
Work and doing this and being bad. If I sucked at my job that bad and my job was public and millions of people saw me do my job really shitty every day, at some point in time I'd say, I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah, we'll go figure out something else. Yeah.
Selling insurance can't be that hard.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Oh, it is. It is.
Anyway, it's not even that it's annoying because, thankfully, like he hasn't umpired many Red Sox games this year. He did umpire for you, and they were bad. They're bad both ways, which is really shitty. But that doesn't make up for it. Like, that's the argument that a lot of people, well, he missed his calls for both. Yeah, that's not okay. Like,
yeah, that actually makes it worse.
Real shitty. That actually makes it worse. That he's bad both ways. It doesn't even out. I promise you. It's just bad. I don't know. That's my thought process. I'm just curious as to why Major League Baseball does Major League Baseball adhere to the old philosophy that all publicity is good publicity, and so we're going to put Angel Hernandez games on TV more often, just so we can have these conversations because, hey, people are talking about our sport. Like, I just think that's a mistake.
But do you want people talking about the meltdown? Like, that's the biggest thing is,
But here's the thing. The players that you're supposed to govern don't respect you, and they don't trust you. How can you govern them?
I don't think you can.
This is the problem we got. And here's the thing. So he's going to be an umpire, and he's got to put his ass at first base. Why is he behind the home plate? Why can't he be a third base umpire? How's that not just the easiest thing in the world to do? Is to put his ass at one of the corners where he can't screw anything up.
I think you might be onto something. I mean, maybe they do that. I don't know. We'll have to see what ends up happening.
They don't. His ass is going to be behind the plate tonight.
Oh, God.
Somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know what. We're going to find out.
Wait, we'll tweet it out. We'll tweet it out when it happens.
He's just real bad. And I know they rotate. He will be somewhere else. But he's the crew chief. But because he's the most senior guy. But at some point in time, you just stop getting to be behind home plate. And somebody has to make that call. At some point in time, we take the keys away from Grandpa. Okay? Yeah. That's just what you got to do.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Anyway, that's the only thing in sports.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
I would just like somebody in not a disrespectful manner. This is not gotcha journalism here. I want to sit you down. I want you to be comfortable, but I'm going to ask you one very difficult question. I'm going to make it clear you're really bad at this. Why do you keep going to work?
Why have you not made it easy for me to where I don't have to fire you? Why don't you just resign?
Yeah. Just retire. Just retire.
Yeah.
Not retire.
Retire.
They've got a union. They've got a union. He's got benefits. There's no doubt this guy can retire and get a pension, man. Like,
blows my mind.
Why have you not chosen that path in life?
I don't have a good answer for you.
Anyway, it's just wild, man. Just anyway.
It really was.
And last night, him screwing up that game just made it to a point where I was like, "This is I want to know. I want to see this conversation."
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyway,
I agree. All right,
we can get out of here.
I'll let you go ahead. I'll wrap this thing up. That sound all right?
See you, buddy.
All right, be good, bud. I'll be talking to you live on Thursday night. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so we're not gonna do a Thursday afternoon show, right?
No Thursday afternoon show. We are going live on Thursday evening.
All right, I'll be there.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Bye.
All right, so that is going to wrap this thing up. What a fun weekend of sports. Of course, it always is. But yes, the Angel Hernandez stuff. I had a feeling Chris was going to want to talk about that. I didn't know if we wanted to get knee deep into it, but he did a little bit, and that was good. That was definitely good. So Tyson Fury, all of the sports, all the college football talk that we've done today on the business side of things, of regulations and Big Ten and Fox television, all that kind of stuff. It's always fun. Always fun to talk about. Sports is never ending. Never ending. All right, we are going to get out of here. You guys have been fantastic. We appreciate you watching the show. Again, if you would, make sure and follow and subscribe or whatever on YouTube and on the podcast as well. With that said, I'm going to make this thing easy. You guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully, all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure